KPBS.com.
Here's what's new this month with Passport.
There's been a terrible mistake. So close to cracking the case.
What's your next move?
Leave it to me, please.
These and all your favorite shows are available with Passport. Support your PBS station and stream more with Passport.
Tonight at 8, a look back at the Otay Watch Company and more. Then how plant explorers search for little-known treasures. And later, journey around California to witness the amazing work of James Hubble. That's tonight on KPBS. You're watching KPBS, a broadcast service of San Diego State University. Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Thursday, December 22nd. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amita Sharma, in for Maya Trabulsi. While the Supreme Court weighs arguments over lifting Title 42 to let asylum seekers into the U.S. once more, local leaders are worried about resources to help those migrants. KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer has the latest.
East County leaders say the El Cajon Transit Center is an anticipated drop-off location for hundreds of asylum seekers if the Supreme Court lifts a Trump-era rule known as Title 42. The Biden administration wants that to happen after Christmas, but District 2 Supervisor Joel Anderson says the county needs help to handle the expected arrivals.
There's no resources here. When you look around, you'll see there's nothing around here at all that could help shelter, clothe, feed, and give wraparound services, medical services, to these asylum seekers.
Anderson sent letters to President Joe Biden and Governor Gavin Newsom asking for more resources.
District 2 has welcomed more asylum seekers and refugees than anywhere else in California. And we have opened our arms to people who are coming, fleeing persecution. But what they're proposing now is just so outrageous.
Anderson says there's no clear plan from the state or federal government on how to deal with the influx of migrants. Advocate Pedro Rios says the lack of services is a concern, but he says Title 42 is now being misused.
We know that more recently, elected officials have been using Title 42 less and less as a preventive measure for the pandemic, for the COVID-19, and more as a preventive measure or a stop measure for unregulated migration. And so that shift is concerning.
Anderson is not the only local leader to express concern about the end of Title 42. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria had a meeting with officials from the Department of Homeland Security earlier this month. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
Thousands of flights are canceled or delayed as a life-threatening Arctic blast grips much of the country. Airline tracker FlightAware.com reports 37 flights have been canceled at San Diego International Airport. 196 flights were delayed. The storm system is set to reach its peak today into tomorrow. Mike Valerio has an update as so many of us start our holiday travel plans.
The fury of ferocious winds, free-falling temperatures, and millions now bracing for more of the monstrous Arctic blast.
It's cold, but when it's negative 20, it's just another level.
Blinding blizzards and the wind chill down to negative 76 in Casper, Wyoming. Snow stretching into Texas all 3 days before Christmas.
You cover everything up to your eyes, and then you breathe, and that moisture like freezes on your eyelashes.
Thursday is expected to be the most difficult day for travel as the storm pummels the Midwest with heavy snow and strong winds.
Take this storm extremely seriously.
President Joe Biden briefed by FEMA and the National Weather Service. More than 1,800 flights in the U.S. canceled on Thursday.
I'll feel good when we get to the gate.
In Iowa, the mayor of Des Moines called the conditions unreal.
We're advising residents to remain home and not travel unless it's absolutely necessary.
Toilet paper, hot hands.
Preparations in Portland, Oregon, gathering supplies for those without a home in the frigid temperatures. As for the 102 million Americans estimated by AAA who will hit the roads tomorrow through January 2nd for longer drives away from home, the advice is to assemble the essentials for the ride into the elements.
Water, snacks, blankets, coats, flares, emergency kits. Be prepared for anything.
Mike Valerio, KPBS News.
Right after the holidays is when San Diego County has seen its largest spikes in COVID and historically the flu. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman spoke with a local physician about the steps you can take to reduce the risk of getting sick this year.
Really be cautious and understand that we only have so many hospital beds, and if you get vaccinated, you're doing it for yourself, but also for others.
Dr. Jotu Sandhu is a family physician with Sharp Steely. He says this holiday season isn't much different from the past couple of years. Latest data shows that COVID-19 cases are slightly falling in San Diego, but that's only from those getting lab-confirmed tests and doesn't include all of the at-home testing. He says, first of all, those who are sick should not be traveling this year.
It just takes one cough or spreading some secretions onto a handlebar or something like that, where you've now risked transmitting that to somebody else who might be more susceptible to a worse outcome than you.
Thousands of San Diegans will be flying home to be with family and friends. Last holiday season, the CDC's mask mandate was still in place for places like airports, but that's gone this year. Masking up can really help, but get a well-fitting one.
If you truly want to be careful and not only protect others, but also yourself, then the only thing that works is an N95 properly fitted mask.
Right now, about 20 Californians are dying per day from COVID, and this year the flu has been particularly bad. Local cases are slowly dropping, but again, those are lab-confirmed cases.
Flu is really a problem right now. In fact, I have multiple patients who have had influenza, many of them who never got a flu shot, and now they're regretting it. And they even said that their flu experience was far worse than their COVID experience.
Vaccinations for both the flu and COVID are designed to reduce the risk of hospitalization and death. Another big tip is to take parties outside. That's not able to happen in most parts of the country during winter, but in San Diego, it's supposed to be above 70 degrees on Christmas.
That's the best case scenario, where you can socially distance. You have the wind blowing, which, takes away a lot of the diseases.
Those who do end up getting exposed at parties should watch out for symptoms for about a week and get tested if any do appear. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
The nation's life expectancy has fallen for the second time in as many years. According to the CDC, the average lifespan for a person is now 76.4 years. That's a low not seen since 1996. Researchers say heart disease was the top cause of death in 2021, followed by cancer and COVID-19. Drug overdoses, stroke, and unintentional injuries were among the top 10. On average, life expectancy for women is roughly 6 years longer than it is for men. As the number of unhoused people in San Diego continues to hit record highs, police have stepped up enforcement of laws that generally target homelessness. But as iNews Source's Jake Harper reports, those cases go nowhere.
San Diego police data shows that officers have arrested more than 100 people so far this year for blocking sidewalks and sleeping where they shouldn't. That's more than 3 times as many as last year. At the same time, the city attorney's office has declined to prosecute most of these cases, and the ones it has pursued have ended in dismissal. Homeless advocate Michael McConnell says the disconnect is a problem and that these arrests are punitive.
They're just trying to disrupt and agitate the people so that they just move somewhere else.
The spokesperson for the city says that police are simply enforcing laws on the books to maintain health and safety in San Diego. For KPBS, I'm iNews Source reporter Jake Harper.
This story included reporting from Cody Delaney. iNewsSource is an independently funded nonprofit partner of KPBS. King tides are coming to the San Diego coastline. The highest waters are expected Friday and Saturday. Tides will reach 7 feet instead of the normal 4 or 5 feet, but lifeguards say flooding will likely be seen only in low-lying parking lots, if that. The mayor of Imperial Beach, Paloma Aguirre, says floods can be serious if conditions are right, like they were in 2019.
We had king tides. We had a major storm, we had strong winds, and we had a strong swell. Especially the direction of the swell was such that it was hitting us full on. So we had major flooding in our low-lying coastal areas of Imperial Beach.
The wave swells that year actually flooded garages and living rooms in IB. Aguirre says king tides remind us of the threat of rising sea levels due to climate change. Progress is being made, but cleanup and repairs are still underway after a 6.4 magnitude earthquake hit Humboldt County this week. Liz Kreutz has a look at the damage.
Walking through CC Market in Delhi, owner Gurpreet Singh says the cleanup following the 6.4 earthquake that rattled Humboldt County early Tuesday morning is overwhelming.
This is what we didn't move this. The earthquake moved it.
In every aisle, scenes like this: smashed wine bottles and salsa jars, thousands of dollars in merchandise now just being tossed away.
It's tough. It's definitely tough. Being in grocery business, it's tight margins, but it is what it is, and we just gotta kind of push through it.
Across the county, power was restored to most areas late Tuesday night. PG&E says they have more than 200 crew members working overtime to restore the lines. But on Wednesday, the hard-hit city of Rio Del remained in the dark. Residents in the small rural town going on day 2 with no heat and also no water. Public works crews worked through the day trying to find leaks in the pipes to restore the system. Until then, dozens of families lined up at the fire department where there are portable bathrooms and volunteers distributing cases of bottled water. How'd you get through the night?
It was cold, but we did it.
You bundled up together?
Bundled up together, and we're thankful for the water here and everyone that's pulling together.
Vincent Lejan was among those handing water out, even though he also had none at home. His dirty dishes still sitting in the sink.
How tough is it to live without water?
I had to come to a complete stop.
Meantime, Police Chief Greg Allen says around 7:30 this morning, he helped rescue a woman who had been trapped in her bedroom for more than 24 hours.
There was clutter from all the items she had in her house that fell down, leaving her with no access from her bedroom out.
For Davina Gray, the cleanup looked like this, making repairs to her mobile home.
Definitely did some damage.
But for others, it's not something a few tools can fix. Gage Dupper lived in this house that was shaken off its foundation during the quake.
My roommates came running down the stairs, and I heard them screaming.
Now he's displaced, and like so many others, wondering what to do next.
It's terrifying, and we're a little lost right now.
Taking a look at your weather headlines here as we wrap up the week, head into our Christmas weekend. Still going to feature some of those gusty winds through our Friday into Christmas Eve on Saturday. But good news, these above average temperatures, those continue to linger. But heads up, a pattern change on the way mid to late next week. That could bring some cooler, cloudier, maybe even a little bit of precip on the way as we wrap up the year as we head into late next week. We'll look at that in the forecast coming on up. First, we want to look at temperatures through tonight. Oceanside, you're down to 39. San Diego drops to 44, Borrego Springs 42, and Mount Laguna, not too bad, dropping to about 40. Looking good for our Friday, dry and milder. If anyone has traveled here for the holidays, you picked a good spot to be, because if you've seen the rest of the country, it is a mess with this big winter storm. Could see a few snow showers just to our north and east. Otherwise, looking good throughout our Friday, where temperatures will be into the 60s and 70s. Oceanside 66 with sunshine, San Diego 65, Chula Vista 66, and Borrego Springs, you get into the lower 70s. Heading into our Saturday, still staying pretty mild with plenty of sunshine, so a very lovely looking Christmas Eve. Looking good to go. Looking at your 5-day forecast for the coast, we'll keep that sunshine around. Temperatures rebounding to the mid-70s for Saturday, Christmas Day. On Sunday, looking good, 74, and then a little bit cooler, as I mentioned, as we head into next week. Looking inland, where we're going to see those 80s make a comeback as we head into our Christmas Christmas weekend. Temperatures running above average. Will drop off a bit by Monday, and then Tuesday only into the 70s. Taking a look at your 5-day forecast for the mountains, where we will see plenty of sunshine through our Christmas weekend. Temperatures into the mid-50s. We'll briefly warm up Monday at 58, and then we'll see some more clouds on Tuesday, 55 degrees. And then taking a look into the desert, where we'll see those lower 70s for our Friday, mid-70s as we head into Christmas Eve, and 77 for Christmas Day. For KPBS News, I'm Ariella Scalise.
The Better Business Bureau and animal rescue groups are warning of scammers trying to take advantage of people looking to give pets as holiday gifts. Jen Sullivan has the red flags to watch out for.
Think twice before you buy a pet for your loved one this holiday season. The Better Business Bureau and animal rescue groups are issuing warnings about pet scams. And according to the BBB, financial losses from pet scams are expected to approach $2 million this year.
Unscrupulous breeders have gotten pretty good at trying to dupe the public into thinking that they're adopting an animal when they're in actuality buying from a puppy mill.
Holly Sizemore from Best Friends Animal Society has these 5 things to consider before purchasing a new furry addition to your family. 1. Avoid online fraud. Many listings could be fake, and you could be paying for a pet that doesn't exist. So meet your new pet in person before exchanging any money. 2. Know the years-long commitment, both with time and the cost of owning a pet.
Basic costs such as food, toys, enrichment, those are all important necessities for pets. Pets can be affordable, but it is a cost that you need to anticipate and budget.
3. Get the animal's health checked. Sizemore says dogs sold online often come from puppy mills and suffer from health issues due to poor living conditions and inbreeding. 4. Make the sustainable choice. Consider saving a life by adopting from a local shelter or rescue group. And finally, consider giving the experience of picking out a pet instead of picking it out yourself.
That is a great way to bring the joy of a new pet into the house during the holidays and allow the pet parent to choose the pet that best meets their lifestyle.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Airline travel demand is soaring, but the skies seem to be getting less friendly for passengers. Air carriers are pulling back on perks like access to airport lounges and redeeming frequent flyer miles. Pete Mentine explains why.
Stephanie Obogu is a proud frequent flyer, now frequently frustrated by the airlines.
They wanted us to take advantage of travel, and then we finally do, and it's like, oh, wait, now it's too much.
Stephanie is just one of Delta Airlines loyalists, fuming over new rules. Next year, the company is making it harder to get into its more than 50 Sky Club lounges at airports worldwide. Delta cites customers upset over lines outside and crowded seating inside, telling frequent flyers, "We have made the difficult decision to implement new policies that we believe will preserve the experience our guests deserve."
I think this is the start of a trend.
Scott Keys of Scott's Cheap Flights says airlines are cutting back on perks now that travel numbers are back near pre-pandemic levels. United Airlines is anticipating end-of-year holiday travel even bigger than this past Thanksgiving. Next year, it will raise the bar on earning frequent flyer status, making it harder to get free upgrades and fees waived.
It's going to be much more difficult to get into lounges, much more difficult to renew elite status, and much more difficult to redeem their frequent flyer miles for a free trip.
A Delta flight from LAX to JFK over spring break would typically cost you 25,000 frequent flyer miles for an economy seat. Now, Scott's Cheap Flights says it will cost more than twice that, 52,000 miles.
I think, we're at a tipping point.
Consumer advocates say earning miles has never been easier thanks to airline credit cards, but now redeeming miles is getting tougher.
You enter these programs in good faith and you invest in them for years and years, and you find that the goalposts are a lot further away than they were when you started.
Airlines they're missing the mark here. I hope that they listen to the consumer and they really think about some of the decisions that they're making at the top level.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, why life expectancy in the United States has fallen to the lowest level since 1996. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Turning a baseball field into a football field is no small undertaking, but that's what the grounds crew at Petco Park is doing as preparations for the Holiday Bowl get underway. The first ever college football game at Petco Park is set for December 28th when the University of Oregon takes on the University of North Carolina.
We're super excited to have the Holiday Bowl here at Petco Park. We made a lot of renovations to the ballpark to be able to fit a football field, and we're excited to welcome Oregon and UNC fans.
Other events include the Bowl Bash block party downtown, as well as a parade the morning of the game. And the game will end with the fireworks sky show. You can buy tickets at padres.com/Holiday Bowl. Students at a San Diego elementary school are hoping to spread some festive cheer to orphaned kids in Mexico. KPBS reporter Claire Strong went to meet them.
I've been making this letter for the kids, just to give them a little surprise and make their day.
Jason and his classmates at Del Mar Hills Academy are hoping to put smiles on the faces of children less fortunate than themselves this holiday season. They're writing handmade Christmas cards in Spanish to kids in Baja, California who've been orphaned or abandoned.
I think it's really nice because we're showing that we care about them and that there are people who are thinking of them.
Once finished, the cards will be sent to Corazon de Vida, a non-profit which provides funding to more than 10 Mexican orphanages. The charity covers the cost of food, shelter and higher education for around 500 children in Baja.
Mi escuela se llama.
6th grade Spanish teacher Andrew Burke is leading the Christmas card project.
I think one of the coolest things about world languages as just a subject is the ability to connect with people from different cultures. And by writing the letters, the students share a little bit about themselves, their interests, where they're from, their families. And it's just a nice way to connect with people who you, on the surface, you might not think that you have much in common.
As well as the Christmas cards, almost 2 carloads of school supplies are also heading to the orphans. It's been a joint effort between Del Mar Hills and 2 other 6th grade classes in the district. Back in the classroom, and students are putting the finishing touches to their cards.
I think it's a pretty good idea because they might look at these and think that someone's thinking about them and that people know that they're there and that they're struggling, and it might influence them to stay in school and get a good job.
Just small acts of kindness that these 6th graders hope will make a big difference this Christmas. Claire Strong, KPBS News.
Tonight, we're taking a look back at a story from San Diego Comic-Con. The 501st Legion is a worldwide costuming organization run by dedicated Star Wars fans. When KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando got her own Stormtrooper costume, she decided to find out about joining the Legion.
I really am too short to be a Stormtrooper, but Dean Amstutz assures me I'm not.
501st does not discriminate based on height, body shape, gender, anything like that.
Amstutz is the Garrison Membership Liaison. He's in charge of approving all the costumes for the San Diego and Imperial County areas, including my Stormtrooper.
I can tell from looking at the lenses, these are bubble lenses, that this is an A&H Hero helmet instead of a stunt, which is the ones that like Luke and Han wore. They wore the hero versions.
Amstutz consults something called a Character Reference Library.
We call it a CRL for short, and it's basically the list of requirements you have to meet for the costume to be screen accurate. So part of the 501st Legion is that we are all about film accuracy. So we don't want to look like just guys in Stormtrooper costumes. We want to look like we stepped right off the film set.
Or onto one. Although the volunteer organization is not affiliated with Lucasfilm, members of the 501st recently appeared as extras in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and they arrived on set in full screen-accurate gear. The 501st includes all the Star Wars villains and all variations of Stormtroopers.
Yes, there's dozens of actually different types of Stormtroopers from the movies, from the animated shows, from comic books. So there's dozens of different types of troopers.
That means a CRL for each, says Lindsay Seapock, Legion Executive Officer.
We try to get angles from all the sides. Sometimes we even have to use
action figures if we don't have all of the sides that we need. So we try to rely on action figures a little bit less.
CPOC is second in command for the global organization of 14,000 members in 60 different countries. When I met CPOC, she was at an armor party.
It is what we do at the local level to get members together, but it's not only for members, it's also for potential members who are looking to join the 501st. So if you're looking to build a costume, you're not quite sure how to build it, you come here and everybody gets together and works on the costume together.
The organization encourages members to partake in a lot of charity work. Shane Hawley is the garrison commanding officer of the Imperial Sands Garrison. He recalled doing an event and meeting a little girl.
As soon as I got down onto my knees, she ran out from behind her dad and gave me the biggest bear hug I've ever had in my life. And at that point, I knew that's what I wanted to do in the community, was to be able to kind of give back and do that.
That's why he loves being part of the 501st. Plus, it pushes him to expand his skill set.
Since starting, I've learned how to sew, I've learned how to 3D print, I've learned how to make costumes out of sheets of plastic. It's something that I never thought that I would be doing.
Fellow 501st member Irma Michelle Tuano has taken it a step further.
First, it was a hobby. I still work full-time. And then my friend said, why don't you create an Etsy site? And so I did, and then next thing you know, I put some stuff on there, like robots and droid parts, and then all of a sudden it blew up. And then now on my Etsy site, it's actually official now. It's called TD Outpost. And you can see all the work that I've done and all the droids I build, and an extra side business for me too.
As Amstutz returns to looking over my armor, he stops at the belt.
It looks a little wide, so there's a maximum width for that, and I brought the CRL so I can look it up. Let me see what it says, and I'll pull out my handy tape measure. Size must be 2 3/4 to 3 1/4.
Yeah, this is a 4-inch belt, so.
Okay. Sometimes the difference between getting in and getting out is a stitch in the right place. And you know what? If your stitch isn't in the right place, it doesn't make your costume any better or any worse than anybody else's. It's all about what you're feeling comfortable with and what you want to do with your costume.
Move along. If you want to go to the dark side, then check out the 501st either online or at their fan table or panel at Comic-Con. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma, and have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you. Tonight at 8, a look back at the Otai Watch Company and more. Then how plant explorers search for little-known treasures. And later, journey around California to witness the amazing work of James Hubble. That's tonight on KPBS.
2022 has been a year of challenges. No matter what the new year brings, KPBS will be here for you. Give to KPBS before the year ends, December